The most obsolete idea is go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, get out of debt, and invest for the long term in the stock market. Why would you save money when they're printing trillions of dollars? The gap between the 1% and 99% is massive. It's not just money. You have to step back and look at the bigger picture. In every one of us, there's a poor person. There's still a poor person inside me. There's also a middle-class person, and the middle-class person wants security. They want that steady paycheck. And there's a rich person, and they're all inside of us, except that it's not taught. You're taught to go to school, get a job, and get a paycheck, not taught how to get rich. The paycheck was one of the most damaging things you can take in your life. The moment you take a paycheck, you're an employee, and that's the mindset.
The entrepreneur is not so much the business. The entrepreneur is really the mindset and the skill sets and the different set of rules. Entrepreneur is a mindset first, a skill set, and rules. My last paycheck, I still remember it clearly. It was one of the worst and the best days of my life. I get this check and I was excited, but I was also disturbed. This other guy comes up to me, his name was John, and John says to me, "You're going to be back." I said, "Why?" He says, "Because you're going to fail." I looked at him and I said, "You failed and you came back, but I'm going to fail and I'm never coming back." And that's the attitude. If you say, "Well, if I fail, I'll go back to mommy and daddy," then that's what you'll do. That's when I became an entrepreneur, because I had no money. I didn't have.
When you don't have this paycheck, you get hungrier, smarter, and it's a test of your character. Will you become a crook? Will you become dishonest? Will you cheat and steal? Or will you become a better human being? That's the benefit of becoming an entrepreneur. You really find out who you are when you don't have anything. You always have to look at the big picture. Too many people look at, well, what's going to happen to me? When you look at the big picture, you're also going to know that when something bad happens, something good is going to happen. But you got to prepare for whatever is coming. If you think the next 20 years will be like the last 20 years, you're going to get creamed. Instead of getting out of debt, I get into debt. I just refinanced $300 million in debt. I made a... While some financial experts are saying get out of debt, I'm saying learn how to use debt. Debt and taxes make the rich richer. Debt and taxes make the poor and middle class poorer. My doctor just yelled at me. He says, "Oh, guess what? I finally made $1 million." I said, "Yeah, well, how much you pay in tax?" He says $750,000 in taxes. So his net was about $400,000. When I make $1 million, I keep $1 million. And the reason is because I don't make it by working for money. If you work for money, you're taxed. That's why lesson number 1 is the rich don't work for money. What we do instead is we create businesses as entrepreneurs. We acquire real estate. As an entrepreneur, I have more control over my income, how much I make, and how much I pay in taxes. Every time I make, let's say, $1 million as an entrepreneur, I immediately invested in real estate, and I have a 4-to-1 step up. So I put $1 million in real estate, I get $4 million from the bank. That's why I love banks. When you print, it's good for you. But when you print, it's bad for people that work for money. Because when you print, savers get creamed, and people who work for money get creamed. When they print, debtors get rich. Debt and taxes make the rich richer, and debt and taxes make the poor and middle class poorer. When we have obsolete ideas, we get obsolete results. The idea of going to school, getting a job, working hard, saving money, getting out of debt, buying your house because it's an asset, and investing for a long term. It's obsolete. The world changed in 1971 when President Nixon took us off the gold standard and money became debt. Everything is obsolete. 18 months. When you come out of school, you're already obsolete. Today, the banks are charging you interest to save money. In other words, the banks don't want your money because they've printed too much of it. And that's why there's bubbles in stocks and bubbles in real estate. People are dumping the cash. Savers are losers, and cash is trash. And yet people are, well, I want a high-paying job. Well, that's an obsolete idea. Get out of debt. It's an obsolete idea. You should learn how to get into debt, how to use debt to get rich, and they'll never teach you about taxes. The reason the 1% is way up here and the 99% are going this way is because when you print money, two things happen: inflation and taxes. It's crushing them. Most entrepreneurs, there's 28 million small business owners in America. 24 million are one-person entrepreneurs. They're called non-employee entrepreneurs. Most people are self-employed, but they're not really entrepreneurs. The self-employed pay the highest taxes of all, and nobody tells them that. There's no such thing as a bad economy. We all have an external economy, but we also have an internal economy, and the willpower is to change our internal economy. For me, I can see the good, I can see the bad. I don't really give a damn, because I'm going to be rich anyway. A poor person with a poor personal economy, all they're going to see is a bad economy, because they don't know how to make money in any economy. And a middle-class person, they have a middle-class economy. What they want is a nice house, a steady paycheck, and the job and the car. And so when you take their job away, to them, that's disaster. Since an entrepreneur doesn't have a job anyway, it's no big deal. If you think the economy is bad, it's because your economy is bad. If you think that steady employment is important, then you'll see an economy without jobs. Your economy versus the external economy, where you control versus where you can't control. It's called an internal focus versus an external focus.
The real entrepreneur has an internal focus. If they fall down, they say, "Oh, this is good because I'm going to go up higher." The average person will fall down and say, "Oh, I'm going to take some Prozac." Mistakes matter. It means you didn't know something. But a real entrepreneur, whether they fall down or they always can go up. They can stand back up and go higher. No matter what happens to them, they got stronger and better and smarter and happier. But a person with a weak internal mindset is that they're so afraid of what happens, it generally happens. People who are afraid of losing their jobs, they generally lose their jobs. Everything comes through you.
The entrepreneur's first job is control inside here, not outside there. The moment you take that paycheck, you're an employee. You've got to be stronger than that. It's about inside control. You have to step back and look at the bigger picture. When something bad happens, something good is going to happen. But you got to prepare for whatever is coming. The real entrepreneur finds out who you are when you don't have anything. You get hungrier, smarter, and it's a test of your character. Will you become a better human being? That's the benefit of becoming an entrepreneur. Subscribe to Motivate Bull and master your internal economy.